Hello, Michael Hughes, Michael Hughes Training. E-learning is very popular among healthcare providers, and over the last few weeks we've looked at some of the pros and some of the cons of this method of instruction. Today I want to bring it all together and summarise everything like a good trainer should. So, looking at some of the pros of e-learning, as I see it, there are three main advantages that e-learning has over face-to-face training. The first is flexibility. E-learning is the martini of training. You can do it anytime, any place, anywhere. It's also eco-friendly. There's very little resources used. People aren't travelling anywhere to do it, and there's very little paper involved. And finally, and this is probably the most significant one for most people, it's cheap. A package of e-learning tends to be a lot cheaper than bringing in somebody like me. It's even cheaper again if you get your staff to do the e-learning at home in their own time for free. So there's a number of advantages there with e-learning: flexibility, eco-friendliness and cheapness. But what about the disadvantages? What about the cons? Well, there's a few there, and they're quite significant. The first, you can't ask questions, and that limits people's curiosity and their engagement. There's the possibility of skipping. So somebody doing a course may simply click through the pages till they get to the test at the end. So they may not actually learn anything during the training at all. E-learning doesn't notice red flags, issues of behaviour or attitudes, because it's not set up to do that. E-learning discriminates. It discriminates against people with language issues, literacy issues, or maybe even people who just aren't very technologically inclined. There's the possibility of fraud. The person who signs in may not actually be the person who did the test. So anybody who comes to you saying, "Oh yeah, I did this e-learning," how do you know it was really them? And because e-learning is done on your own, not with people, I believe that e-learning does very little to foster a culture of care, because we learn culture by being amongst other people. And also there's the issue of teamwork. E-learning is carried out in a purely solitary fashion. There is no discussion, there's no teamwork, there's no cooperation. So how can it possibly facilitate or promote teamwork in the workplace? And I'm going to give you one more bonus thing that I haven't mentioned thus far. For many people, e-learning is actually very dull. I don't know who writes the e-learning programs, but I've done enough of them to be able to say that they can be quite tedious, actually. So there's some key issues to think about. There's a number of pros, a number of cons. E-learning can be very attractive because of its number one pro: cheapness. But if the e-learning isn't that effective at educating your staff, or changing their behaviour, or imbuing them with a culture of care, then is it really that cheap? My name is Michael Hughes. If you want to get in touch, email me. My address is info@michaelhughestraining.com. In the meantime, please subscribe, check out my other videos, and keep up the good work.